Say from 9 to 8 every workday. No fun at night, gotta hit the hay. But on Friday, now you've worked all week long. It's time to get out and say what's up, Hong Kong.
Hi, welcome to What's Up Hong Kong, the show where we tell you what's going on in Hong Kong this week and meet some of Hong Kong's most interesting people. It's January 29th, and our guest today is Tom Tiding, who is here to represent Hong Kong storytellers. How are you, Tom?
I'm all right. How are you?
Pretty good. Welcome to the show. I'm going to be sucking on these cough drops here because I've had a bit of a cold lately. Did you get any of that flu that's been going around?
I didn't, but did you hear about the Beijing cough?
No. What's that all about?
Well, apparently doctors in Beijing are starting to prescribe or call the chronic cough that people have because of the air pollution the Beijing cough.
Okay.
Which led to the health ministry to say that there was no causal link between the air pollution and people developing respiratory sickness. So maybe you have the Hong Kong cough.
It could be. I did go through Beijing recently, so maybe I picked it up while I was there. But it seems like it's a global pandemic going on with the colds these days. Well, let's learn more about you, Tom. You just want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I started out running a greeting card company called Twisted Tidings.
Very cool.
And,
I think you still do that, correct?
I still do that.
Okay.
And when I was at a trade show trying to sell the cards to retail shops, one of the people said, "What exactly is wrong with you? What happened to you that made you this way?" And so I told this brief, pithy story about my family life and history. And he said, why don't you tell that story? I'm like, what do you mean tell that story? And they said, well, there's this thing called storytelling. So, and this was in Washington, D.C. I went to Speakeasy D.C., which is a monthly show that they have there, and told a story about the time that my 2-year-old brother crawled out on the top of a roof when my stepdad was waiting downstairs drunk. And so I had to, as a 5-year-old kid, go out there and grab him off of the roof, and I was terrified of heights. And that's when I realized I love this storytelling thing, and decided to get into it more, and then kept on doing it. Now we're doing it in Hong Kong.
Yeah, so you started up your own Hong Kong Storytellers Club, basically, or you have a group on meetup.com, or you invite people to join you, and then you have events. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. The Meetup group is mainly for people who want to learn how to tell better stories. We like to try to focus on developing stories for whatever the theme of the month is. This particular month, or next month, is the show is on 7th December at Culture Club, and the theme is Sucker for Love. Stories about love, lust, and everything in between. So the focus of the workshops is to try to develop people's storytelling ability, particularly for the shows that we put on. But we also get a lot of people that they want to be able to express themselves better. They want to be able to tell an anecdote to their friends better. They have these great stories, but they find their friends stopping, sort of trailing off after a while, and wondering, why did that happen? This is a great story.
Yeah, closing has to be one of the toughest parts of a story. And then you always run into those stories where you think it's going to be good, and then halfway through you're like, this story is awful. I wish I hadn't told it.
Yeah, I think we all have those moments where we look back and realize that maybe the story doesn't put us in the best light, or maybe there's just actually no point to it. But
Right.
that's the point of preparation, is telling it in front of a friendly group of people first, and then running up the flagpole in front of an audience or in front of other people.
And I've been to one of your events before, so I've been there in the crowd where you have many different speakers. Even people just come up out of the crowd not even knowing they're going to tell a story, but then they think, hey, I got something to tell.
There's another storytelling show in town which is called Speak, and at their last event, this guy saw about their show on Reddit, and he was passing through town. He was only here for 12 hours. He was a Russian mathematician that was supposed to tell a story about the time he got drunk and couldn't speak to a girl, but ended up telling a story about the time that he accidentally took home a ladyboy. This is the kind of thing that when you watch it happen, you can't believe it's actually happening. And he was just matter-of-fact about everything. And for me, that was one of the best moments in Hong Kong storytelling because it was so spontaneous and so real.
So people sometimes are just natural storytellers like that, and they've had these crazy experiences where it's easy for them to walk up and tell a story about a variety of different topics. But then for other people that don't aren't naturally talented or don't have all the experience in the world, you actually do workshops, correct? For to kind of teach them, show them the ropes of telling a story.
I think even though we have the idea that either you're a good storyteller or you're not, everybody can improve their stories. A great storyteller can figure out a few details that maybe aren't necessary and just make it have that much more of an impact. A less strong storyteller can figure out how to structure stories and how to build suspense. And I think that's the number one thing that people don't do is they don't know, okay, I have to make this into a conflict. I have to figure out a way, what's the conflict? Why is this story important? And how do I hold back enough of how it ends so that people remain interested?
Sure. Yeah, conflict is always the thing that kind of gets anybody interested in any story. All right, great. And you mentioned Speak as well, and you guys are kind of coexisting peacefully here.
Yeah, I mean, at first we wanted to do kind of a West Side Story dance-off, but then we decided it wasn't necessary. There is room in town for 2 storytelling groups, and the truth is we love their shows, and I think they love ours too, and it's really been a fantastic setup.
Excellent. Good to hear. So what goes into a great story? What are all the elements we got to have? I mean, you mentioned conflict.
I honestly think that conflict plus delaying the resolution is all you need for a good story, and it doesn't need to be a big conflict. It can be something small, but there does need to be something that changes over the course of a story. One of the things we notice in workshops sometimes is that people will come with a story about a wonderful vacation they had, where all the people were nice and the beach was perfect and the sky was blue. That's not a story. It's an anecdote.
It's a nice time.
It's a nice time.
It's a nice experience.
And people want to share those things, but the fact is, unless it's your friends, and even if it's your friends, they're probably getting tired of hearing about your perfect vacation.
Sure. It's kind of like when people show you vacation pictures. It's like, great. Yeah, I'm not in any of these. I don't want to.
Yeah, I'm not in anything, and the most interesting thing is that goat that's standing there and that you took a picture of, and I'm interested in that, but nothing else.
Right. All right, cool. So, what kind of stories can we expect to hear at a Hong Kong Storytellers event? I guess you guys have different themes normally.
Sure. The stories range generally from absolutely hilarious to mildly funny. There are definitely a few heartbreaking stories and things like that, but the fact is you have to give people a little bit of sugar if you want them to sit with you through 7 minutes of anguish or heartbreak or something going wrong. So our theme this month is Sucker for Love in advance of Valentine's Day, and I can promise you that a lot of the stories are about broken hearts, and but usually they're funny, and usually they're
bittersweet, you could say.
Humiliation of other people is always funny to laugh at, as long as you can laugh at yourself.
Maybe some good revenge stories.
Yes.
Now, have you personally ever had to hold back tears at a story somebody told at one of your events?
I have not personally had to hold back tears. There have been people.
Tough guy.
Yeah, I just wish I could make myself cry sometimes.
Right.
There have been some really moving stories, though. There's one about a guy that was abused by his dad, basically, when his whole life up until he was in high school, and it's kind of a classic situation where the kid wanted to go into drama, and his father is this tough guy and just abused him mentally and physically his entire life, and his triad uncle is the only one that sticks up for him. And his triad uncle is, if anything, even meaner and badder, but he's like, no, you let that boy be an actor.
Wow.
And that was one of those stories you just first, holy shit, you went through that? And second, it pulls at the heartstrings.
Yeah. So what kinds of people tell stories at your events? Is there a common thread between these people that, or I guess you could say, are successful at telling stories?
I'm hoping that there actually isn't much of a common thread between all of the people, because what we really want is for it to be as much of a cross-section as possible. Unfortunately, I think there is a little bit of a common thread. It does focus, there are a lot more expats that do it than local people, for example. There are a lot more men than women. And I wish that both of those things weren't true, because we're clearly missing out on some of the great stories. I think the common thread, though, between most of the stories that are great is usually that, yes, they are funny, even if they're sad stories, because it's supposed to be entertainment and not therapy. And even if it's a cathartic experience for you, I really think you have to make the audience enjoy their time with you and not just feel sad. Second thing is, the best stories, they bring you there. And I think, one of the tips I always give is try to use more dialogue in your story. Don't say, he said that I think I should go to the psychiatrist. Just say in his voice, now you should go to the psychiatrist. It brings you there.
Definitely. Good tip. And for you people with sad stories that want to come to the storytellers, maybe you should just take it to AA or something like that.
Well, one of the things with the sad stories is sometimes it's too early for people to tell them. If
they're too close to it still.
They're too close to it. If they can't get through the story without crying, then chances are they're not really ready to pick out the pieces of what's important, what's not,
right,
and what's going to be relevant to an audience.
Yeah. And
it might be very, very important to them, but it's got to be about the other people.
They won't be able to add an element of humor into it either. You got to be able to laugh at yourself sometimes.
I think you have to be able to laugh at yourself, and also being able to inject a little laughter in the story is one of the signifiers that you're maybe distant enough from the story, no matter how horrifying it is, that the audience can listen and they can laugh, and that you have the requisite distance to for everybody to enjoy themselves.
Good tips. See, this is the kind of insight you will get at the workshops if you attend. You can take
I'm worried
Tom's
I'm giving
brain.
away all my secrets.
I'm sure there's no depth to the knowledge of storytelling. All right. So let me see here. Where has being able to tell a good story been practical to you in your daily life, if anywhere?
Well, as I mentioned, I run the greeting card company, so being able to tell the story of, the cards is supposed to be a little twisted, a little fractured. The Mother's Day card, the Father's Day card is, any asshole can be a father, but it takes a real jerk to be a dad. It's the kind of thing that sort of twists the what you expect from greeting cards. And being able to explain, just a couple of experiences that sort of back that up in a colorful way, it was helpful in branding the cards and getting people to understand where they were coming from. Okay. And some people were they were very hostile to the idea until they were like, oh yeah, I guess I could see that, You can't say anything bad about your mom. I'm like, I'm not saying anything bad about my mom. It's a greeting card.
Sure, it's a joke. Come on.
It's a joke.
Yeah, actually, I do like what your card company does, because you can get the cards for the occasion that Hallmark will never give you. Like, I saw the one for when your ex-girlfriend is getting married or your ex-boyfriend, and then you don't get invited to the wedding, but you want to send them a card anyway.
Yeah.
It's all
in
good.
a passive-aggressive sort of dig at them, yeah.
Right. And just remind them that, and their spouse, that you used to be their fuck buddy.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And I also thought, there needed to be cards for when the air sort of slowly goes out of a relationship, but that you can't get out of it, because we just don't have anything to mark that occasion.
Yeah, it's a good point. All right, so by the way, you can check this out at twistedtidings.com. We'll give you another plug here at the end of the show. I should probably also mention that we're here at a Starbucks, so if anyone hears all this crazy jazz music going on and all the background noise, we're not technically doing this in front of a live studio audience, even though I guess we kind of are. But yeah, bear with us on the sound. So, how can the people listening become better storytellers themselves? With obviously attending the workshop.
Yeah.
And go to the meetup group to find out about that. Any other tips for their daily life on what they should focus on to try to develop the talent?
I kind of think you should have a story of the day, something that you come up with every day, so that when people ask you, how's it going, that you don't have to respond as sometimes people do in Hong Kong with a litany of medical issues.
Sure.
So that you have, it can be an anecdote, it can be something short, but something that you've come up with every day that lets people know where you are.
Okay. Yeah, and you got to be careful with that though, because I know most of the time when I just say how's it going, it's rhetorical. I don't actually want them to tell me how's it going.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I guess if you can judge who's listening to you, go for it.
Well, it's that dreaded "what have you been up to" question that I always struggle with.
Yeah, what have you
So
been up
I
to?
feel the need to prepare for it.
All right, so you do stand-up comedy as
Yeah.
well, correct?
Yeah.
And you perform at Takeout Comedy.
Mhm.
Yeah, did I see you do some? You traveled over to like Shenzhen and done something
Yeah,
there
I've
as well.
gone over to Shenzhen as well.
Very cool. Who's your favorite stand-up comedian?
My all-time favorite stand-up comedian is Chris Rock.
Chris Rock,
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah,
I can.
I love
see
Chris Rock. He has such good observations about people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I like, that he's able to sell these things that are basically just biting digs at humanity and how we act, and then somehow you laugh at it.
He needs to do another stand-up special though.
Yeah.
He's doing too much acting in really bad movies.
I mean, I think he's made too much money that he doesn't need to do stand-up.
Well, you can still make a lot of money doing stand-up whenever you reach that level. You know, charge $100 a ticket. You know,
Yeah.
make tens of thousands of dollars.
I don't know.
for
I
an
mean, if
hour.
I had money, I would pay him not to make another Down to Earth. But
Yeah, exactly. Any other influences on you?
Chris Rock is who I love. I'm not a huge fan of kind of the new guys, the Louis C.K.
They call that alternative comedy, like David Cross and Patton Oswalt, people like that.
But I listen to all of them. But men of my vintage all have a unique fondness for Eddie Murphy.
Sure.
Delirious era, homophobia and all. It's pretty difficult to go back and rewatch and re-listen to some of the things that you laughed hysterically at then, and now you're like, oh, geez.
As long as you don't have to wear the same clothes, because you wouldn't want to wear that Eddie Murphy raw red leathered jumpsuit.
When I was in the Hong Kong comedy competition this past fall, I
Okay.
was looking everywhere in Hong Kong for one of those jumpsuits. And I'm a 38-year-old man. Let's just say it would not fit well, but I thought it might be a conversation starter.
Sure. And have you been performing much recently?
Not too much. After the competition, I decided to try to focus on the storytelling show and get that up and running. And then when we've got that more established, I think I'll have a little bit more time to do stand-up again.
I know how you feel. It's hard getting things off the ground.
Yeah.
Such as a storytelling group or a podcasting network.
Yeah. For example.
For example, just pulling those out of the air. So what else do you like to do in Hong Kong? Any hobbies or anything?
Well, my hobbies involve day drinking and hiking, I guess.
Sweet.
In Hong
Good
Kong.
combo.
Yeah. Hopefully in the correct order, but not always.
Yeah.
So that's
All right, excellent. And any for the hikers out there, where would you recommend is like your favorite spot to go hiking?
I actually don't know the name of the town because I'm a dumb guilo and I can't remember names in Cantonese, but there is this trail that goes on Lantau that goes past 3 waterfalls
Wow,
and a monastery that you can only get to by a footpath.
I have never heard of such a place.
It's about as close as I think you can get to the Lost World in Hong Kong. There's vines everywhere. I was looking for dinosaurs. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And you can jump in the second waterfall pool. It's clean enough and nice enough. So
Impressive. So that's
yeah.
good. That sounds like a better hike than all those damn stairs behind the big Buddha.
Yeah, I mean there's a few stairs, but at least there's waterfalls.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. That's all for all you hikers out there. And so are there any other groups in Hong Kong that you're affiliated with you'd like to give a shout out to or promote?
Well, my my favorite other meetup group is the Amateur Gourmet Group that has helped me eat my way through Hong Kong. So, and there's a tremendous organizer, Vanessa Bernardino, who just is a real foodie and takes care of that group tremendously well.
Okay. Well, what does one of those meetups generally entail?
I mean, it could be anything. One of the first ones I went to was an olive oil tasting. I didn't know that olive oils tasted different.
Yeah,
but
they do. They have some good ones.
it turns out they do, and they were kind of delicious.
Did you have any of the ones infused with garlic? Because that is the bomb.
Yes, but for me, the real destroyer of my world, the thing that shattered my earth, was truffle-infused olive oil.
Wow.
Which you can really only use with, and of course in Hong Kong you infuse like everything with truffles. There's truffle vodka, which I think defeats the purpose of vodka. But anyway, it was amazing. You can only use it for dipping bread in, but it was delicious.
I don't know that I've ever tasted truffle at all, to be honest with you, but I think I'd be up for the olive oil to try it out.
I think it's worth a try.
All right. Good tip. So what was the name of that group again?
Amateur Gourmet.
The Amateur Gourmet. Look
But it's
them up.
maybe the most professional meetup group I've ever seen, so don't be fooled by the name.
All right, cool. Well, let me see here. The question I asked to everyone who's on the show is if somebody was coming to Hong Kong for the first time and they're only here for, say, like a day, what would you tell them they have to do while they're here? What's the experience everyone should try out that maybe isn't so obvious?
The experience that isn't so obvious. I really think that to understand Hong Kong, you've got to go over the peak, not onto the peak. I love actually the hike that goes from Parkview over the Twins and over to Stanley.
Okay.
Because it's this moment where you reach the top of it's not the peak there, but the top of the ridge, and on one hand you've got Hong Kong in all of its glory with all the buildings, and then on the other side
it's Forest
green.
Station. Right.
And that it's amazing. And
yeah, it really
I think
is
if
cool.
you're expecting it to be all like this, all these, the concrete jungle, and then you see that, it just, it blows your mind, the first thing. And the other thing is, you look down, and it's a pretty precipitous drop.
Yeah.
So you see these stairs going down, and it's like something out of the Lord of the Rings, or, like you can almost see, like, Frodo or whatever.
Did you see The Hobbit?
No, the prospect of 9 hours of The Hobbit is... And I like The Lord of the Rings, but,
Yeah.
And somebody said there was singing. I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Django Unchained, that's what you should go see if you haven't seen it yet.
I saw that on Friday.
Badass.
No singing, but typical Quentin Tarantino, fantastic music.
Yeah. There was one Tarantino part that I just had to, I laughed hysterically, where they switch location and you see the name of where they switch to scrolling slowly across the screen. If you remember that part, I won't give it away, but it is friggin' hilarious. It's so Tarantino.
Yes.
Good stuff. Yeah, but about the getting up to the top of the peak and being able to see the forest and the Hong Kong on the other side. It's very much like the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
You really get the best of both worlds, and you do really. If you're new to Hong Kong, it's a great place to go. So, good call there. All right, well that's pretty much all the questions I have for you. But I would still like to play some of the games that we always play with our guests here. The first one of which is called "What's Up or Down Hong Kong," and this game just entails me listing off 10 items, and then you just kind of say up or down, kind of like a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whether you like it. It's quick fire, and then we'll follow up with you and find out, dig a little bit more into your answers, okay? So, let's go. Anime.
Oh, I guess it's always got to be up.
Okay. Tequila.
Down.
Red meat.
Down.
Snow.
Up.
Public speaking.
Down.
Bagels.
Down.
Politics.
Down.
Apple. The company.
Apples?
The company. Apple.
Oh, the company. Well, down.
Country music.
Jeez, does country music ever die? I think it's always up.
All right. And baseball.
Down.
Okay. So, let me see. You're into anime.
Well, I'm not necessarily into anime.
Well, yeah. You
nothing,
used to be
nothing
into
that
anime?
wouldn't be safe for work. Jeez.
Yeah, we're not. I didn't say hentai. I said
Oh.
anime. So, all right. Not into tequila. Are you much of a drinker?
Well, I think the problem with tequila is that it seems to have some sort of mystical power over people that is different from other alcohol.
Okay.
And I know they went on Mythbusters and they tried to show that tequila wasn't any worse in terms of people's behavior, but I hate to argue by anecdote, but I have seen differently.
Okay. Did you ever eat the worm at the bottom of the
No,
tequila bottle?
no.
All right, good call. Nor have I. Snow. You're from Minnesota, so I could see where you would.
Yeah, I don't ever need to see snow again.
But you always loved as a kid the snow days, right?
I did, but I also think that the snowbanks were so much higher and everything was so much colder that nothing compares anymore.
Gotcha. Public speaking, that's no problem for you. You do it all the time.
Well, I say it's down because if you watch the U.S. presidential campaign, you saw an awful lot of bad public speaking.
Oh, yeah. That's the worst, though.
And,
You're taking the worst example there.
Yeah, but, I know people tend to think of President Obama as a good orator.
Sure.
But then when you had him follow Bill Clinton
oh, God.
at the Democratic convention, you just saw what the difference was between somebody that knows how to put together a speech and do it without a teleprompter.
I'd be happy to have Clinton in office for another term or two,
Yeah.
honestly, myself. I don't mind the shenanigans behind closed doors so much. I'm talking about balancing budgets, you know?
Right.
Exactly. So, Apple, don't care for him.
Well, I think everybody agrees that they're headed for a bit of a fall just because of the loss of Steve Jobs. It's tough to
That's tough to
recover from
an innovator
losing
like
something
that.
like that.
Plus,
Obviously, though, they've done it before.
I
so.
feel like they're just starting to recycle their stuff so much. People are getting tired of it. They're not really innovating that much. It's very similar products.
I will say one thing, though. There really is something to the idea of having products that work in an easier way than other products.
Yeah, intuitive.
You look at the Apple keyboard and you compare it to a keyboard that sits for a PC and
sure.
yeah,
But
I mean, that does
other
matter.
companies have caught on to that, though. I think they're catching up.
Yeah.
It's like how, the U.S. led the way by inventing the television, but, the Koreans and the Japanese these days are making much better quality products.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a similar thing. And then you said down for baseball?
Well, I mean, I do think baseball is a dying sport.
I think I'm with you. I think it's one of the most boring sports that I could possibly watch. I'm an American. I'd much rather watch a soccer game.
Yeah,
than a
no, me
baseball
too.
game.
Actually,
Hockey.
unfortunately, it always gets put that way. Do you like soccer or do you like football? Do you like soccer? Do you like baseball?
Well, there's some people that are just sports fans.
Why can't we enjoy all of these things?
Right.
But truth is, I really don't enjoy baseball that much. I worked as a security guard at the stadium in Minnesota for a couple of years while I was in high school. And I was probably one of the worst security guards ever because I probably weighed about 140 pounds, so not very intimidating. But I saw every home game for a year and a half, and then something just snapped, and I realized that every baseball game looks like every other baseball game.
Yeah, it really is, and they play a crap load of them.
Yeah.
Super Bowl's coming up. You watching it?
Yeah, well, as a DC resident / transplant,
You rooting for Baltimore?
I guess I have to root for
Oh
Baltimore.
man, I'm a Steelers fan, so they're my. For people who don't know football, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens are arch nemesis.
Yeah, but I mean, how can the Ravens really be anybody's arch enemy? And they've only been in existence for 13 years or whatever it is.
Be surprised, but I'm rooting for 49ers on this one. So,
unless you really like the 49ers, I think you gotta go for the region. Plus, the people of Baltimore have so little compared to DC that I feel like should at least throw my.
Well, I mean, they got one feather to put in their cap. They're like number 1 in the country in murder rate.
Yeah. Go Balmer.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess enough of this U.S. talk. You get a couple Americans on a podcast, so you kind of go back to what we know. But let's get back into Hong Kong here a little bit. All right, y'all. It's time to get into the events for the week. As always, we're going to start with It's the Arts. It's the Arts. It's the Arts. All right, It's the Arts this week. We have some ongoing events. First, an art event, Scene of the Crime at Z Stone Gallery in Central, paintings by Chengdu-based Bai Dongliang, conveying militaristic, political, and crime themes. Through January 31st, open until 6:26 p.m. That was a weird time to put on the internet. And I've seen that one as I'm walking by, actually. It has a man putting on a mask. It looks like Kato from the Green Hornet. You can't miss it. Next event, an art event called Visual Language Radical Abstraction at Dessart Gallery in Central. Works by French minimalist artist Bernard Venet and American conceptual artists Jenny Holzer and Barbara Kruger. Through February 2nd, Tuesday to Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So these are actually coming up pretty soon, so you better get there. Let me see. Art event, Dreamy Vision at Art Experience Gallery in Sunwon. The artist depicts poetic scenes of nature in paintings. Through February 8th, Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. As far as single-day events, we got Wednesday, January 30th is a culture event. It's the first day of the West Kowloon Bamboo Theater 2013 at West Kowloon Cultural District. Cantonese operas, Chinese dance, contemporary music concerts, a bamboo theater fair, and exhibition of the upcoming Shichu Theater through February 16th, 3 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Sounds like a nice cultural event. There at the same spot where Clockenflap was held, I believe, if you went to that event. Nothing on Thursday the 31st, but Friday, February 1st, we have a musical event, Expressive Strings, Hong Kong Chinese Orchestra at Sunwon Town Hall. It's a pipa concerto, the pipa, the traditional Chinese instrument, and that's at 8 p.m. We also have a music and dance event called Flamenco Classico at Hong Kong City Hall. The City Chamber Orchestra of Hong Kong teams up with flamenco artists to perform Spanish music and dance. 7:15 p.m. Tickets start at $180. We also have a performance on the 1st called Body ID Space V Body Battlefield at Hong Kong Museum of Medical Sciences. It's a performance art exhibition, multimedia adventure with audience participation. From looking at it online, it's hard to tell just what the hell is going on there, but it does look pretty interesting. February 1st through 3rd, 8 p.m., $200 to attend. Saturday, February 2nd, a musical event, concert by the Hong Kong City Chinese Orchestra at Tai Po Civic Center, 8 p.m. Tickets start at $100. Sunday, February 3rd, we have a dance event, Swan Lake at Polytechnic U in Hung Hom, 2:30 p.m., $85 to attend. Music on Sunday the 3rd, Beethoven Violin and Piano Sonatas at the Hong Kong Academy of Performing Arts in Wan Chai, 8 p.m., $150. And that'll do it for It's the Arts. Moving on to Sports and Rec.
He shoots, he scores. Sports and Rec.
Sports and Rec. This week we have one ongoing event. It's a film event, Flying Monsters at the Hong Kong Space Museum in TST, an Omnimax movie about flying dinosaurs. So for anyone who has kids interested in dinosaurs, or maybe just the kid in you, go check it out. Playing at various times, $32 through February 28th. So you got all month to check it out. Wednesday, January 30th, there's a soccer event, well, I guess football to many of you listeners, Scottish Premier League, which I'm told is, the dregs of UK soccer. But it's Hearts versus Dundee at Tynecastle Stadium in Chung Uk, 7:45 p.m. Thursday, January 31st, we have some meetups going on meetup.com, so go check the website for more information on a lot of these. But we got the Hong Kong School of Photography group having an event called Up Close and Personal with award-winning wildlife photographer Andy Rouse. The Dine Together group are having happy hour and wine appreciation workshop. And the Hong Kong Expats group are having newcomers to Hong Kong meetup. So if you're new in town, go check it out. Meet some other newbies. Friday, February 1st, we have a food event, the Eat Healthy Tour in Yuen Long. Visit a small organic farm, take a cultural walk at the oldest walled village in Hong Kong, and take a unique food journey, which includes an English cooking class and food tasting. 10 a.m., $600 to attend. Meetups that day, we got the Just Photography group having their Chinese New Year meetup 2013, so go meet some other photographers if that's what you're into. Saturday, February 2nd, we have some meetups going on. The Hong Kong Volunteers Group are distributing Chinese New Year presents to frail and needy elderly in Wan Chai. That's very nice of them. The Chinese Culture Club going to Cathy Yacht Calligraphy Exhibition. Interesting. The Hipster Fellowship going rock climbing. So rock climbing with hipsters. That sounds awesome. And Go Cone for Singles Group having a pre-Valentine's Day hat party. So for those of you that don't know what Go Cone is, it's Japanese group dating. So kind of a group of guys and a group of girls get together, and I guess it's a good way to meet multiple people at once if you're looking for a Valentine's Day date. Sunday, February 3rd, there's a running event called Train X Road Race 2013 at Yuen Long Park in the New Territories. 8:30 a.m. for the 3-kilometer run, 8:45 a.m. for the 1.5-kilometer run, and 9 a.m. for the 6-kilometer run. That's going to be pretty close to Speak HK Studios here. Meetups on Sunday, we have the Hiking with Dogs group. They're having a picnic. The Laughter Yoga Hong Kong group having a Laughing and Yoga on the Grassland event. Hong Kong Eclectic Movie Night will be watching Hollywood classics. And the Law of Attractions group having a pre-Valentine's Day party. Looks like all of the singles groups are trying to get everyone hooked up for Valentine's Day. Monday, February 4th, we have an outing, the first day of the Lunar New Year Flower Markets 2013 at your local Parker Playground. So this is all the big flower markets that happen every year for Chinese New Year. And Monday the 4th is the first day. And it's always a nightmare trying to go later on, closer to actual Chinese New Year. So you may want to go on the first day and avoid the crowds and get the first pick of all the goods they have for sale there. We also have a coffee event on Monday, February 4th. Coffee classes at Rabbit Hole in Central. Classes for coffee lovers in coffee brewing. Takes place at 7:30 p.m., $400 to $480. They also have a latte art workshop on February 6th, so that'll be Wednesday. Meetups on Monday, February 4th. We have the NFL Group Hong Kong watching the Super Bowl live at Champs Bar and Restaurant in Wan Chai at 7:30 a.m. I will be there rooting on the 49ers and just enjoying myself, taking the day off. It should be the Super Bowl should be a day off for Americans automatically. Tuesday, February 5th, we have a meetup group. Project X team are going to be doing some slacklining. So if you want to try to do some tightrope walking without the height, and apparently this is a bit easier to learn, go check it out. Project X team, slacklining. And that'll be it for the sports and rec section. Going on to the final portion of the show, the Get Out. The Get Out this week, nothing coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, January 30th, but Thursday, January 31st, we have stand-up at Takeout Comedy in Soho, as usual. This time it'll be featuring friend of the show, Pete Grella. 9 p.m., $100. There's also a show on Saturday for $150. Friday, February 1st, there's a food event, the Shengwan Foodie Tour. Check HongKongFoodieTours.com. 2:15 p.m. to 5:45 p.m., $600. And as I said before, if you aren't available that day, please check out Bigfoot Tour, friend of the show. They do food tours of their own, and they can pretty much do it any day of the week for you. We also have a comedy event, People's Liberation Improv. So this is improv comedy at Takeout Comedy in Soho at 9 p.m. on Friday, $150. We have kind of a business event going on Friday, the Intro to the Hong Kong Startup Community at the Hive in Wan Chai. It's a class to help newcomers to the startup scene get acquainted with entrepreneurship in Hong Kong. Complimentary beer and wine will be served. Starts at 6:30 p.m. There's a music event on Friday, the Weathering album release concert. It's going on at 633 Kings Road in Quarry Bay. 8 p.m., $50 to get in. Another musical event, Adventure Club will be playing at Nova in Central, 11 p.m., $200 advance, $280 at the door. Saturday the 2nd, we have a couple music events, the first being a mix and match concert with George Lam and Chu Tsang Hei at Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Center in Wan Chai. That might be more of like a local music concert. 8:15 p.m. Tickets start at $250. And we also have, for the electronic music fans, DJ in town, the DJ Sasha World Tour will be stopping at the W Hotel, and that's at 10 p.m. It's going to last till 6 a.m. This is an all-nighter, so it's a good thing it's on Saturday. You'll pretty much waste your Sunday away sleeping. And that'll be it for the Get Out, and that's it for the events. Now we'll get back to Tom Tiding and 5Q. Well, we'll jump to the final game here, which, as always, is our favorite game, 5Q. 5Q, I just ask you 5 questions. It's you just answer them to the best of your ability. Some of them may or may not have something to do with you, so keep that in mind. Low score is 2, so try not to get only 1 right. I do give out half points sometimes, so 1.5 is possible, but I think you'll be fine here. This time it's not too tough. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. Question number 1, geography. Beijing has 2 sister cities in the United States. One is New York. Name the other.
Lima, Ohio.
All right, good guess. Washington, D.C. I know it seemed a little too easy. I thought maybe it ran through your mind, but you've spent, as you said, some time in D.C. And what did you think of that city? How does D.C. compare to, say, Hong Kong?
To
Hong Kong.
I think it's sort of like Blade Runner compared to Field of Dreams.
Okay. Now, which city is which?
I think DC basically feels like a cornfield compared to Hong Kong.
Okay.
I love DC, but none of the buildings can be taller than 12 stories in the downtown, and
Sure.
It's just a much flatter place than Hong Kong.
Hong Kong is very much a Blade Runner city.
Yes.
I like that comparison. All right, question 2. What is the biggest problem with giving people red pockets for Chinese New Year?
What's the biggest problem with giving them red pockets?
Sure. For you personally.
For me personally, I mean, the biggest problem for me personally is that they don't give me money in return. I mean,
No,
it's kind of a
you're
net loss
close
for
to
me.
the correct answer there.
Oh.
You're close to the correct answer. What would you give with, say, for Christmas, with a gift that you don't give for Chinese New Year?
A gift receipt.
No cards.
Oh.
No greeting cards with the red pockets.
That is a problem.
Yeah, so if only they were you could make some Chinese New Year cards and expect them to sell.
Yes.
How much better would that be? We should try to, start a grassroots campaign for that. Give a
idea.
card with your red pocket.
That's basically how Sweetest Day was created in the States. We don't have another card holiday. Let's make one up.
Or maybe you could make a red pocket greeting card hybrid. That's an idea. That insults somebody in some way.
Yeah.
Just so it stays twisted. All right. So, we discussed Twisted Tidings. People know all about that. We'll go to question 3 here. Not doing so well so far, but you got a chance to recover. This one shouldn't be too tough. Fill in the blank. Match game style. It's blank cat. Blank cat.
Blank cat.
Yes. Blank cat.
Black cat?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good guess. I was actually looking for Tomcat.
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 Okay.
Okay. That's written on the paper. I'll show it to you if you want.
I think you're just making these things up.
As I go. Sure. All right.
I only have 2 chances now to.
Yeah, you could tie the low score. Number 4. Let's play the pyramid. You remember the old $25,000 or $64,000 pyramid game?
Yep.
Okay, so this is kind of like that. So you just say what these next words have in common, okay? Banks, stories, fortunes, pen. Banks, stories, fortunes, pen. That's pen
Banks.
with 2 N's.
Stories, fortunes,
Pen. With 2 N's.
with 2 N's.
What do they have in common?
Yeah, I really should have watched the $25,000 pyramid a lot more closely.
Well, they all have one. They all have something in common: banks, stories, fortunes, pen. There's seemingly nothing in common.
That's the trick, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, here's a hint. They all have something that comes after them. That if you were to put a word after them, it would make more sense.
Pennsylvania.
That's not the pen we're talking about. Bank, stories, fortunes, pen. This pen might perform in Las Vegas sometimes.
Okay. I know. I've got it.
Okay.
I've got it.
All
it's
right.
a teller.
Yes, they all have tellers. Bank, stories, fortunes, and pen. All right. Good. You got it. You're on the board.
Wow.
Ding ding.
I think I should get like a quarter point for that one.
No, I'll give you full credit. All right. Okay, last question. Can you give our listeners an inspiring quote from someone else? Not your own quote, but somebody else's quote. Inspire.
Inspiring. I mean, am I supposed to be going for one quote in particular?
No, this is kind of open-ended.
Open-ended.
Just has to be deemed inspiring, I guess.
Well, okay. I mean, this quote, it's going to take a little bit of an introduction because
Sure.
There's a bit of a story behind it. I grew up going to church because, I'm an American and everybody has to go to church in America. And there was this one guy in the church that he was a complete asshole. Nobody liked him. And
A real Christian.
I mean, when you're in a church, you can't really kick people out unless they, never mind. So he was a real asshole. Nobody liked him. And then finally he died. And so then we had to really think about, like, well, what do you say at the funeral of somebody that
to
nobody
eulogize
likes?
him.
So this is my quote, and I find it inspiring because it shows you that there's hope for all of us. And the preacher said, he was not well liked, but some days he wasn't as mean as others. And so I think that's we can all aspire to that.
All right, just focus on the next day, not
That's right.
being as mean. Always
Not as mean. I mean, whatever stage you're at, you can be just a little bit less of an asshole.
something to say about self-improvement there,
Yeah.
I think. Okay, very good. Correct. Good job.
2.
So 2 out of 5, tied the low score, but not a new low score.
Yeah, that's good.
That-
Not a new low.
Crucial. So thank you so much for playing the games. Appreciate you joining in for that. Did want to give you an opportunity to do a little plug section here. So let me read what I got, and you can tell me if there's anything I missed. Meetup.com/Hong Kong Storytellers to find out more about Hong Kong Storytellers and the events that are coming up. Is that where they can actually find out about the events themselves?
Yeah, we've got everything listed on the meetup page.
Okay, very cool. TwistedTidings.com, as we said before, and you can follow Twisted Tidings and Tom on Twitter @TwistedTidings. Simple. And there's no special spelling there. It's all as you would think it would be. Oh, I forgot to mention why I asked that last question for the quote is that you're actually a contributing writer and author of the Book of Quotations for People Who Hate Quotations.
Indeed. That's it's a true Twisted Tidings book. The big quote from that my favorite is an Indira Gandhi quote that says that you can't shake hands with a clenched fist, and my response is yes, but you can do a fist bump. So it's about looking on the bright side. I actually did write another book under a pen name. It's a romance novel called Tide's Ebb by Alexandra Branton. And
so you wrote it as a lady. You thought that would appeal more?
Well, I initially marketed it as a real romance book, and then kind of watched the negative reviews roll in.
Okay.
As kind of a bit of as a thought experiment to see if people would tolerate a romance that revolves around a hero that's into donkey porn. And it turns out that they didn't like it much.
Wow. Yeah. It maybe doesn't come across so well in just speaking, but it sounds like deep within the recesses of your mind.
Yeah,
there
I need
really
to work on my elevator pitch.
Oh, beautiful. All right. So that's the Book of Quotations for People Who Hate Quotations. And what was the other one?
Tide's Ebb.
Tide's Ebb. Okay, very cool. And I saw you also have like a short story people can download for free called the Oklahoma Summer.
Right. That's based on one of the stories that we've done at Hong Kong Stories.
Okay, excellent. So you got a lot of stuff going on. You wear many hats. You got a lot of plates spinning right now. So I'm glad that you were able to join us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem. I didn't miss anything, did I?
No, I think that's it.
God, this is your life. All right. Very cool. And as for What's Up Hong Kong, is there an event coming up that you would like us to mention on the show? Feel free to email me. That's TravvyJ, TravVyJ @speakhk.com. You can also follow me on Twitter, or the whole network, @SpeakHK, or facebook.com/speak.hk. And please leave a review. Tell a friend about the show, but go on iTunes or Stitcher, leave a review and a comment. 5-star rating would be nice. Just trying to get the show out there to some more ears and make sure they know that it's we're working on it being a quality product. We're maybe not all the way where we want to be yet, but we're getting there. And definitely check out our new podcast, Dear HK, if you haven't already. It's also on the website. Just in general, any feedback is most welcome. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you again to my guest, Tom. Do you have any last words for the people listening?
Don't ride bareback.
All right.
I think that's something that somebody told me when I was young.
That's a good tip for sure. All right, so for Tom Tiding, this is Travis Jones signing off. That's what's up.